Megan if you're new here, and today we're going to have a chat about high school. Now, this was my oldest son's freshman year, so it is something new that we both have been navigating. He has been the guinea pig through this whole homeschooling journey. Definitely has been the guinea pig for high school, homeschooling high school. So if you're new to my channel, I have been homeschooling now for 11 years. I have 7 children. And as I mentioned before, my oldest is in high school. This was his freshman year. And so in this video, I just kind of want to share our experience with the curriculum, whether we enjoyed it, whether we want to go another route, and just kind of chat about high school in general. Number one, when planning for my son for high school, more than likely he is a college-bound kiddo. We wanted to go ahead and plan based on a college preparatory style path in going into planning his high school. So for his freshman year, he actually took 8 credits. Several of those credits are actually made up of half credit courses as well. So he has had a pretty heavy load this year. I was a little bit concerned going into the year that maybe it was a little too much for a freshman year, but I really put the ball in his court in deciding for sure if this is the route he wanted to go. He did. There have been some moments where he was a little bit overwhelmed, but this provides a good learning moment for next year's planning. So let's get into exactly what credits he took this year, and I will share the curriculum we used and our thoughts on it and things like that as well. So let's talk about history first, because that's just the first one that I grabbed. I recently did a video where I did our review on the modern history from Biblioplan. He used the high school text, which is this big, thick bad boy right here, and he really enjoyed this. He really likes history a lot. It is his favorite subject, and so he enjoyed this. Now, we did not get into as much of the literature choices from this specific curriculum that I kind of wanted to, but that's okay. That was by default because of what we ended up going with for his English credit, and I'll explain more about that later. But there were some different books that he did read for part of his English credit this year. So this was a win for sure. So this completes his modern world history credit. That's how we have it listed on his transcript as modern world history, because he does have to have a world history credit in our state, like world history and geography. And so this satisfied his modern world history and geography credit. So that is what we went with for that, and it was definitely a win. So as a family, we used the family text, and we would read along with it, and then he would read this independently. And he did have like some just worksheets called Cool History for Middles, I think is what it's, upper middles, I think is the one that he used that went along with this. And that just helped him kind of take notes as he was reading. And then I tested him on that. So that is his history. So his next credit was English, and his English credit was fulfilled by using Redefining School's high school course this year. I have done previous videos about Redefining School, and we absolutely love it. He used it in middle school. I've used it with another one of my kiddos, and we'll have more kids that are going to be in it next year. So Redefining School is amazing. Miss Mindy has really changed our homeschool, middle school, and high school wise for the better. So in middle school, my son completed the literature surveys. And what that is there are 2 different tracks. There is a world literature and an American literature. And basically each month you're studying a different literary great, so a different author each month, and their style of writing and some of the works that they've written or parts of the works that they've written, whether it be short stories, poetry, you know, whatever it may be. And then you learn about the elements of their writing style, which is great. And then you dabble in writing in their style And then you have like a little author's chair at the end of each month where you can share your writing or listen to others share their writing. You have like Zoom classes every other week, that kind of thing. And it is wonderful for middle school. And that really set him up for the high school level, which has been absolutely wonderful. The high school course was a year with C.S. Lewis, and it was so good. He really, really enjoyed it. The high school course is divided into 4 terms, and each term they focus on a different type of writing, whether it be like persuasive essay, research-based writing, creative style writing. They learn how to use MLA format for their citations. So it's really good in that aspect, but then also they are studying and dissecting literature, which is wonderful. And so they read the Screw Tape Letters, The Great Divorce, Mere Christianity, and then the last one, there were several to choose from, and they got to choose which one they wanted and then put in a group, and they did like a final group project and things like that. And so my son for the last one read the book Out of the Silent Planet from the Space Trilogy from C.S. Lewis, and he really enjoyed that. Within that, there was also different readings, whether it be Langston Hughes or some other authors of like their short stories or poetry and things like that. It's all set up online. It's very, very easy to follow. I feel like it's a great, especially if you're looking for a solid college preparatory course for your high schooler, this is a great one. And Mindy does an absolutely amazing job doing this course. They meet once a week in a live class, and it just was very, very good. She actually has open enrollment right now. So if that's something that you're interested in for, if you're watching this and you have a middle schooler and are interested in her literature survey, check that out. She also has literature circles, which are different like book studies with other groups of kiddos. And she also has writing courses. She just has wonderful courses available in general. So make sure you check out Redefining School. And I do have a code if you are interested in signing up for anything that will save you a little extra. So I'll put that down in the description. But as far as English, it worked out great. Now, I will say, I got a little overzealous. At the beginning of the school year, my plan was, he's going to do this Redefining School course. And actually, this is before I realized that this course was really going to satisfy his entire English credit. And it definitely did. Because she also provided a list of like literature to pull from to add in extra literature for him to read as well, which worked out great. But it's funny because when I planned his freshman year, originally I was like, okay, he's going to do this Redefining School course, plus he's going to do IEW's Narnia Level 2 writing through our co-op, plus he's going to do this grammar workbook. And you guys, no, that extra was not necessary. And bless him, because he did do like the first 2 months at our co-op in that IEW class, and he was keeping up with that as well as his Redefining Schoolwork and everything. And I was like, okay, this is way too much for you. So I let him just drop that class, and he did study hall during that hour instead to work on all of his schoolwork. But he was a trooper with that. That is definitely one of those faux pas on my part. But that was the English credit, was Redefining School, and it worked out wonderful and excellent. And he had a great learning year with that. Okay, so for his next credit, we have math. He took Algebra 1 this year, and he used a program from Mr. D Math. Now, Mr. D Math was such a good fit for him, and it was such a good fit for him. Originally, I was looking into Denison Math for him. However, This kid is super math minded, and if you talk to Mr. Dennison in person, he will tell you if your kid is math minded or doesn't struggle with math, then this math is not for them. Like, he himself will tell you that, and I love that he is very upfront and honest in that way too. And so it just confirmed for me that that was not going to be a good fit for him. And so we used Mr. D, which is an online math, and it has been amazing. So Mr. D has been teaching math for a really, really long time. His website offers self-paced classes, fast-paced classes, and live classes. Not only do they offer pretty much any level of upper level math, they also offer sign language classes and some test prep classes. He did very, very well. The thing that I love about the Mr. D math is, number one, this might sound like a downfall, but it's actually not. There isn't a teacher's manual. They really want to encourage and foster the problem solving and becoming independent learners. And that really, truly paid off. At first, I was like, what do you mean there's no teacher's manual? He has no clue what he's missing on this quiz problem. And how am I supposed to help him? When I emailed them, I got an email almost immediately back from Mr. D himself, and he was wonderful at explaining the method behind it and the thought process behind it, and like really trying to foster that. And so they offer live sessions to do tutoring where they can log on and actually talk live online with them to get some help there, or email support, all the things. And so my son was able to really work through that on his own and totally understood it after a while of just like really going through and reevaluating like what he was doing wrong. And so that, I think, is super, super valuable. So if you have a kid that you think that would fit well for, I highly recommend checking out Mr. D Math. If you guys are interested, let me know. I can do a video specifically on Mr. D Math, but I cannot say enough good things about it. So next was his science credit, and he used Earth Science from Berean Builders. So you can use this in either 8th grade or 9th grade as a lab science for Earth Science. And so that's what we did in place of like physical science. So in our state, they have to have 3 lab science credits. So for him, it will be Earth Science, Biology, and Chemistry. That will be his 3 lab sciences that he will end up completing. But we did use the Berean Builders. Now, with science, this has been a tough one because he has just been on his own kind of doing science. And I think science is a hard subject to just be on your own doing. And what I mean by that is it's not hard, like difficulty hard. It's hard as in like, it just works better when you're doing it in a class or with someone else to do the experiments with, or at least someone to kind of bounce ideas and things like that off of. And so this one was a little bit hard because the discussion is really important, I think. With science, it is with history too, but because our family used the family text, we were still having good conversations about the history. There were a few lessons. You can actually get the teaching videos. I did not. However, you can purchase like specific chapters of the teaching videos. And so I did do that for a couple of them. Definitely if you do Earth Science, because it is a good curriculum, it's just, like I said, it's one that it's a subject that I think works better when you're just not completely on your own. With the Earth Science curriculum, I did purchase the pacing guide from My Father's World. So My Father's World has created kind of like a little pacing guide where it tells them exactly what to do each day and things like that. And it creates a checklist for them. And so that was really helpful for him in tracking things. Definitely make sure that you buy the lab kit. It's super helpful with this. You really can't do it without it unless you just don't do the labs. And then what's the point? So, yeah. So that's kind of where we are with science. He didn't not like it, but he also didn't love it. His next credit was Spanish 1. And we ended up going with Bob Jones Spanish, and he did it with the online videos on the Homeschool Hub through BJU Press. So Spanish 1 has been great. Okay, so the instructor is great. He really, really likes the instructor on the videos. It's not live, it's just pre-recorded. And he does like the curriculum. However, just as a heads up, it is a pretty difficult curriculum. So some of the people that use this curriculum I have actually seen say that they take the whole 18 months that you have access to the videos to complete it. I can see why. For sure, it can be very overwhelming. It is a lot. It is pretty in-depth, but it is very thorough and very good. So if you're looking for a very thorough, very good foundation in Spanish, I would highly recommend BJU Press for Spanish. They do Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. He is planning to do Spanish 2 through BJU as well. So yeah, so that was another one that was good, but just be aware that it is pretty rigorous. We did look at another one, I think it's called Breaking the Spanish Code, and we almost chose that one, but we ended up going with this one instead. I let him make the final decision, and that's what he chose. So that was another win. So next credits. Okay, the next credits, we are going to talk about fine arts. He did a photography class at our co-op, which counted as half of a fine art credit. And then he also does piano, which counted as the other half of a fine art credit. So that's 6 credits so far. The next one he also did through our co-op, and the first semester was personal finance using Dave Ramsey. That was pretty hands-off for me because I did kind of farm that out to our co-op to teach. And so that went pretty well. And so he got a half a credit for that, which is a required credit in our state of Tennessee. And then also the second semester, he had lifetime wellness. For lifetime wellness, they just used LifePack. I will be honest with you, I'm not like a huge fan personally. However, that was just another thing that I was able to farm out as a credit fulfilled for him. That is a required credit in our state. So that is now 7 credits. Okay, and for the 8th and final credit for my son's freshman year, he had his Bible credit, which was fulfilled through the program called Primal Path. Now, I spoke about this previously. A few years back, my husband read the book The Intentional Father by John Tyson, and he also created a father-son entry into manhood top deep discipleship program called Primal Path. And that is actually what my husband does with my sons once they turn 13. And it is pretty involved. And so my son completed how many shifts? 4? 4 shifts this year in Primal Path, which if you don't know what Primal Path is, then knowing that he completed 4 shifts doesn't really equate to anything. It's a lot to explain, but it is just a really great program that my husband really enjoys doing with our boys and has been going very well. So that is my son's freshman year and kind of the thoughts and takeaways. But I'm going to ask my son, who is sitting over here next to me, what was your favorite course that you did this year? History? Okay, history. I told you he would probably say that. And what did you think about your math this year, Mr. D?
I really liked Mr. D.
Yeah. He made things really real world applicable. Like when he explains things, that was one thing when I would overhear his lessons and things like that. I wanted to add that on, is that when he explains the math concepts, he tries to connect it to how you would see this play out kind of in everyday life. And I think that that's super helpful as well in helping them understand things. So, and to also help them have a good attitude about math, because sometimes we just automatically think, I'll never use this in real life. And so I think that's helpful. So, did you have a good first year of high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Now, next year, I will say in regards to the science, we are going to be going a different route. I will have a video coming out soon of what his high school plan for his sophomore year will be and what curriculum we're using. And I will kind of give more details there. But just know it's actually not going to be done in our home. He's going to be going somewhere else for that. So I'll explain that in an upcoming video. If you have any comments or questions, put them down in the comment section below, and you can find anything that I've talked about in this video in the description, and I hope to see you guys on future videos. Thanks so much, guys, and have a blessed day. Which actually was using, for his final, so hold on, I'm laughing.